2. And welcome to the Inside the Sales Playbook show, where on each and every episode, we dive into the actual sales processes, the plays, and the strategies working for sales teams today. No high-level overview. We get into the actual weeds of what some of the fastest growing, most successful sales teams are doing today to drive revenue and grow their businesses. And on our show, we've got two sponsors today. Inside the Sales Playbook is sponsored by SalesKit. SalesKit takes the guesswork out of scaling your sales knowledge all on one great platform. No longer do you have to have your sales information, messaging, and knowledge spread throughout Google Drives, Dropbox, as well as various files and folders scattered throughout your office. You don't know where that is. You can't do that anymore. SalesKit makes it easier than ever for your team to access the sales knowledge that actually works. You can sign up for a free trial at getsaleskit.com. And we're sponsored by my book, Raise Your Standards, the definitive guide to building seven-figure sales. You can get a free copy of this book to help grow your sales, whether you're an entrepreneur, a sales manager, or a sales contributor at getsaleskit.com/book. I'm your host, Mark Evans, and today we have an awesome episode. I am really excited to have our guest on today. If you haven't seen him on YouTube or the internet, I don't know what rock you're living under, especially if you're into sales, if growing your revenue is an important thing for you. I'm here today with Guillaume Moubeche. He's the CEO and founder of Lemlist. This is an incredible sales email tool that's really taking the world by storm. His videos, like I mentioned, are all over the internet, and he does one of the finest jobs of delivering actionable sales advice in all of his YouTube videos, in their Facebook group. He's got great energy, and we couldn't be more proud to have him on the show. So, Guillermo, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Well, we are really excited. Well, what I want to dive into first is give the listeners and viewers a little bit of context. I watched a video on Product Hunt last night that aired, I want to say sometime in like September of 2019. And you were saying at that time, and this is after being in business for maybe a year, you're saying that you had 8,000 users. First, is that accurate? And then second, fast forward us to today. Where has the growth of Lemlist looked like over the past 2 years?
Yeah, definitely. So right now we have tens of thousands of users. We have basically like more than 10,000 companies paying for Lemlist. And essentially we're growing at a 2-digit month-over-month growth rate, which is exponential growth. And so far we've in less than in basically like 2.5 years, we crossed the 3 million ARR mark about like a couple of weeks ago. And I guess we'll end up the year at maybe $4 million in dollar ARR. So that's quite exciting. We're going to aim for 10 million ARR at the end of 2021.
Wow.
And that's going to be challenging, but we're going to get there.
If anybody can do it, I feel like you're in a good position. You've been making a lot of deposits, and I definitely think you can do it. We'll be rooting for you. For those that are unfamiliar, though, with Lemlist, Guillermo, how about you give them some context? What is Lemlist first, and how do you help your clients achieve their mission?
Okay, so Lemlist is a sales automation platform. So essentially, we allow people to automate their cold emailing outreach and also their multi-channel outreach. So we've just released actually a new version of Lemlist that allows you to do email, LinkedIn outreach, and also like calls. So it's pretty exciting for us to basically like help sales teams get their job done and basically get better at sales, get better at building warm relationships.
Yeah, I was playing around with the software last night, and if you haven't investigated it, if you're sending cold email or if you want to try to drive sales using cold email, this is a tool that will just put you head and shoulders above your standard reach out emails. There's some really great technology, and you definitely got to check it out. But Guillermo, how about you take us back? Of all the things you could have done, you're super smart, very successful. Of all the things you could have done, why the heck did you even choose sales? And how'd you even get into this crazy world of sales?
Yeah, it's actually quite a fun story. After I graduate from a master in marketing. Initially, I'm actually a chemical engineer, which has nothing to do with what I'm doing right now.
No.
But I studied marketing, and a friend of mine started his company where he was doing basically B2B lead generation. So he had built an agency, and he was looking for a partner. And then I was like, okay, like why not? Let's start. And I was essentially doing a lot of outreach for customers in B2B space, either based in the US or based all over Europe. And after using basically all the tools on the markets, I was really disappointed with what people were offering. Essentially, you had a lot of tools where people were telling you, you're going to put your sales team on autopilot. That was kind
Mhm.
of like one out of two softwares. That was their tagline at the time.
Yes, I remember
And
those days.
and on the other hand, you had like me doing sales, doing outreach for companies. And then I was like, that's not true. Like if you want really like to step up your game, you need to step up in terms of personalization. You need to like, sales is all about relationships. It's all about personalization, and none of the tools were actually allowing you to do that. So we had decided with my two co-founders that I've met in an incubator in Paris to launch like Lemlist early 2018. And essentially, like, our main differentiator was, we want to help you get more replies to your cold emails. And by doing that, we're going to allow you to add extra personalization, such as
Mhm.
dynamic photos or videos, and also have our own technology and algorithm to get better deliverability, essentially.
Yeah, and let me just put into context for the listeners or viewers who haven't seen Lemlist. So when Guillermo talks about dynamic photos, I mean, basically, one of the coolest things I've seen is your example of how you could have, it's a picture of you. So just to paint the scene, it's an email, it's a cold email. So imagine this as a prospect for you listeners and viewers out there. Imagine, you get maybe 50 emails every single day that are all text. Hey, I want to, it's all just straight, boring text. It's all me, me, me. I want to book you for an appointment. I want to show you our product. I want to do this. Imagine getting an email, and this is what Guillermo teaches. This is what you train on, and this is what your product can deliver. It's a picture of him holding 2 cups of coffee with your name on it, with the actual recipient's name on the cup of coffee. I mean, good luck trying to deny that or delete that. It's so cool. It's such cool tech, and anybody who's in sales really needs to take a hard look at it. So let's just transition a little bit. So, Guillermo, you've seen a lot of companies, you've worked with a lot of fast growing companies, you deliver a lot of sales training videos. What do you think is separating the mediocre sales teams and growth companies from the very high growth and great sales teams that you're a part of right now and you're leading right now?
I do think that like, people who understand the power of relationships will always get further to the one that just thinks that the spray and pray techniques still works. Like 99%, and even within our customers, we still see it, because we do a lot of like meta-analysis of tens of millions of emails sent, and we can define like the level of personalization versus the number of interest rate that they get.
Yeah.
And what we see is that whenever people are using only like tags such as the first name of the person and that's it, or just
Mm-hmm.
first name and company name, their reply rate and the number of meetings they booked is basically like 5 to 6 times lower than the one that are spending time, to add this, we call this a tiramisu technique, because it's like sweet as a tiramisu, but it's essentially like, for example, if I would reach out to you, Mark, I would have checked your profile on LinkedIn, check your podcast, mention probably a cool episode you did with Guillaume from Lemlist.
Of course.
and and basically, like, at least you would have known that I've spent the time to get to know you. I
Mm-hmm.
think what's really good is to make essentially like a parallel between you going at like I don't know, like a house party or something,
Mm-hmm.
and then you meet that guy, and that guy is going to talk about himself for an entire hour without asking your name. Is gonna call you like, I don't know, like, hey Jeff, by the way, like, really cool, and you're gonna be, what the fuck is that prick, like, I don't want to talk to him,
Yeah.
and I sorry, and oh, one sec,
You're okay.
I'm gonna drink some water.
No, that's okay. So what Gear was basically saying is right, and so let's just paint this right. A lot of salespeople right now today are taking the approach of, if you meet them at a networking or at a party, right, where all they're doing is they're just throwing up on you, right? They're showing up and throwing up all over your shoes. And I'll let you take it from there, Guillermo.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, sorry for that. I was just almost dying. But
No,
I'm
don't worry
safe
about it.
now.
You're good.
And basically it's the same, when you receive like an email and it's like, hey, I'm Guillaume from Lemlist, and what we do is we are the coolest sales automation
Yeah.
platform. You're like, oh, shut the fuck up, Guillaume. First, you're French. You have a French accent. Don't piss me off.
Who
But
cares? Yeah.
really, yeah, exactly. Whereas if I start my building relationship by saying like, hey man, like, I'm reaching out because I think what you're doing is really dope. I love the way you framed XYZ into that podcast, or I love your angle and I love what you're building with your company. Then, like, at least right now I've got your attention.
Yeah.
And if you look at the framework like IDA that is very famous, it's like attention, interest, desire, action. You've done the first step. You've got the attention of the person.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how can you get the interest? And that's where you're going to structure like a bit your value proposition. So make sure to really like target well the person. So some people, for example, they're going to tell me, oh, Guillaume, we only have like one value proposition, but we have like 10 different targets. Then I'm like, no, your value proposition is just wrong. You know, like you
Yeah.
should have one value proposition for each person. Like, for example, Lemlist, we help a lot of sales teams, but we have SDRs that are using Lemlist, or sometimes we have VP sales that are just like using Lemlist for their entire team. It's
Mm.
two different approach. The VP is more going to check about like the growth of the sales team, make sure that they reach their objectives. That's his goal. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's what he's looking for to achieve for whenever he's looking for a tool. The SDR, what does he want? He wants to hit his quota. So what he wants is more replies, more meeting books. So two different targets, two different value proposition, even though it's the same product.
Yeah.
So personalization in that sense is extremely important.
I really like that because I think what a lot of salespeople really suffer from is confusing their prospect. And I think and confusion is like an exponential growth, right? If there's like 1 point of confusion to the prospect, it turns out to be like 10 points of confusion. So I really, really like that on how laser focused your value prop has to be. I really like that. Now, Guillermo, so you guys have grown very, very fast, very rapidly over this past year or so. Give us an idea of how many salespeople you had on the team when you started a year ago, and then give us an update today.
Yeah, so essentially we kind of like we had, it was more account manager initially, so not really like people doing a lot of outbound. So when we started, it was just me, so I was doing like outbound all day long, but I was using Lemlist, so it was pretty cool because I could give the dev team like tons of feedback, and I knew the industry pretty well. Then like I guess after like 1 year, we hired our first like account manager, like to do like more demos, more closing, etc. And then in the end, we added like a bit more person in outbound, and I guess now they are like 3 person doing like outbound sales, and then we have like 3 more person doing more like inbound and account managing. So we consider them as like more support and account management. So total, it's like 5-6 person.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, let's take us back to, because what I get messages from a lot of founders, a lot of sales leaders, everybody wants to improve their training and onboarding process, right? Everybody wants to reduce the ramp time and increase the quality of their training process. Is there anything that you do specifically in your sales training and onboarding process that you feel is really world-class and sets you apart from competitors or the industry at large?
Yeah, I think that our approach. So I built like a training actually that I used to be like selling and teaching to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But essentially, it's basically like I teach people how to do outreach from A to Z. So I explain like first step is how do you define your target? So who is your ideal customer profile? How do you find all this information? And I actually make the salespeople do the job of marketing, meaning creating, you know, I give them all the tools, create your ideal customer profile. If you have no idea, describe yourself as an ideal customer profile, or even better, describe where you want to be in 3 years as your ideal customer profile. Let's take a very simple example. Let's say I'm a BDR, like business development representative.
Yep.
In 3 years, I want to become an account executive, for example. Then I'm going to picture myself as an account executive. What's my age? What's my hobbies? In which type of company I would like to work, etc. And I build this as my persona. The next step is I teach people how do you find the emails and how do you find this person. So go on Sales Navigator, use the right filters, etc., etc. Once they have like a list of, let's say, 100 or 200 account executives, I teach them how to reach out to them, but not for sales, just in a networking way. So, and I teach them like, okay, when they arrive the first week, I give them my entire training for a week. And then the next week, they have to at least have 5 meetings booked with people for networking and people following my training, like in the teams, because I don't do that only for sales. I do that for marketing team. I do that for support team. I do that for our customer happiness officer. I even do that for the developers. And once they do it, at least they have like 5 meetings booked for the next week. And then I teach them like, and they're like, okay, what I'm going to say. I'm like, you just talk about your life. Like explain your challenges, explain where you were working, explain what you're doing right now, why you wanted to network, and try to learn from others. And then they're like, yeah, that's amazing. And then after a week, marketing team and sales team, they closed, like, because I onboarded maybe like, I think it was in September, it was like 5 people in, so 2% in sales and 3% in marketing.
And
after
Guillaume,
this,
is this all, are you delivering this training like in a classroom, one-on-one? Is it a video format, or
yeah,
give me some
it's
insight into
video.
this?
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. Yeah, it's
No?
video format, and every day. So basically, it's like you have a video of like 1 hour and a half per day, and then you have exercise to do, and then we have like debrief session whenever like we make like I do like basically 1 hour every day that I spend with new hires, and I basically like debrief like what was tough, where do you need help with, and what's the next step for you.
Love it.
And once I do that during the entire week, the next week we had like actually they closed maybe like I think, yeah, with 5 people, everyone closed at least one deal.
Wow.
Just because like they were not trying to sell. And then
Yeah.
after that second week, I'm like, you see, you built relationships.
Mhm.
People asked about you because you asked about them and you were curious enough to know, like, okay, so they checked their profile on LinkedIn. Once they had the meeting booked, they were like, okay, like that's super interesting. How did you manage to grow your team? What have you done, etc. Once you get interested into someone, normal people would ask questions in return.
Yeah.
And once they ask question in return, if you're saying that you're working for Lemlist and that we're doing XYZ, you understand the product, they're like, oh, that's super interesting. I'm going to check it out. And because they like you as a person, they're really going to check it out. And if it fits, they buy. And relationship starts with trust. And once you
Yes.
have trust, you can establish a connection for business. And that's as simple as that. So after 2 weeks, everyone in the team, from the developers up to like marketing team and with the sales team, know that they need to build relationship. And
Love it.
actually what we do differently at Lemlist is that one of our KPIs for sales and marketing, it's actually to meet with at least 5 persons every month for a networking time. So
Okay.
it's you do half an hour up to an hour of your time every week with at least 1%. So
Wow.
5 within the month,
Yeah.
where you're gonna ask advice. So for example, one person joined us. She wasn't really good in SEO, so I told her it's fine. Like you're gonna learn, but learn
Mhm.
from the best. So
Yeah.
now find the best company in SEOs, find the one that are ranking extremely competitive articles, learn what they did to get there, and just copy them, but adapt it to us, and
Love it.
that's what she's doing. And now she has like 5 meetings every week because she's ramped people up like really quickly, but it works.
I love
And
that.
that's, yeah.
That is so cool, and I love how you get the developers. Everybody has to go through this
Yeah,
process. So,
everyone.
one, you're probably also, has there been any changes to the product because a developer or a customer success or someone has gone through using the tool to book these meetings, and they've said like, let's change this, or let's make this easier.
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing is, like,
Cool.
our product is made for sales teams. So with our sales team, we always get like tons of things that needs to be updated.
Yeah.
But once we started, like with the developers, I think it was like so amazing because some people would just join us and they were like, what the fuck? Like how this doesn't work, and
Yeah.
their need was like, now I want to code, like it's not I want to, like give a
Yeah.
feedback, is I
Yeah.
want to check what's going on and why it's done like that. So by doing this, you can first show the benefits of our product, which is quite cool, and also make people want to, like do more and do
Mhm.
more with it. And
Mhm.
for us, yeah, it has done some dramatically like improvements on the product, which is pretty cool.
I love it. I love it. Guillaume, if I'm an entrepreneur or I'm a sales leader or I'm a CEO listening to this interview in this podcast, right?
Yeah.
And let's say, hey, 2020 wasn't a great year, right? Maybe we had some ups and downs and we didn't have that consistent growth we're looking for. What would be your piece of advice to someone listening who says, hey, we have to have a really solid 2021 in order for us to move forward? What are like 2 or 3 things that they could do to really kind of make sure that they're going to hit their numbers and growth patterns that they really want?
Yeah. First thing is, with 2020 being like a global crisis, a lot of people have run away from their customers. Meaning like they didn't spend time getting in touch with their customers, because in the SaaS world, so software, I've seen like so many founders telling me like, no, we've stopped sending email. We don't want people to churn. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's
Yeah.
like,
What?
yeah, exactly. So first thing is really like get in touch with your existing customers, try to understand what's up for them. Like, for example, if you were like selling to the tourism industry, or like, I don't know, like tourism industry, it's a good thing because there are like huge changes. Understand their new challenges. What are their current challenges? Are they trying to go all in on digital? What are they trying to do? What are they expecting for 2021? Understand what's new, what they've done that's working, get to know them even better. That way, whenever you're going to reach out in 2021, you would have understood all their new challenges and you will be able to bring new solutions. So always adapt. That's like my advice number one.
Love it.
Second advice, it's really, if you're building your sales team, do sales. Like, I've seen so many entrepreneurs, again, like they're like, I don't know how to set up KPIs for my sales team. I'm like, okay, how many meetings have you booked? Oh no, I don't do sales, I'm the CEO. I'm like, shut the fuck up, go do sales. Like, you're supposed to drive sales. In the early days, I'm an engineer and then I'm a marketeer. Do I really like to do sales in the early days when everyone was telling me like, stop, like it's terrible? No, I didn't like it at first. But then, like, you start doing it, then you get better. And once you're good, you're going to be able to say, okay, now in 2 months, here's what I do. Here is how many meetings I booked. Here's how much I can sell. Now I'm going to hire people that are going to become better than me. I know that I could do X. Now I'm going to hire people that will do at least X plus 1 or whatever. And then you start building your sales team like that. So be an example, lead with example. I would say that's for me the most important.
I love it. I think that is such solid advice. Yeah, I think everybody wants to go from like zero to scale, right? Where all of a sudden they're in charge of like partnerships and these channels and stuff. But no, I think you learn the most when you're in the trenches of selling one-to-one. I really, really like that. Awesome. Well, I think let's close then with the final 5. So, Guillaume, this is going to be 5 rapid fire questions that I'll ask you answer. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, sir. Well, give me your favorite sales related movie.
I guess The Wolf of Wall Street.
All right. You didn't sound confident in that one.
No, because they are like, I'm not a huge fan of Jordan Belfort, but overall, like the movie was great. I love Leonardo DiCaprio. So
yeah, very entertaining, right? Very entertaining. Give me a favorite sales book of yours.
I really liked the movie. The book from the guy at HubSpot, Mark Roberts, that is called Sales Acceleration Formula. Very good if you want to hire like a sales team, define like bonuses. So he grew basically the sales team at HubSpot. So from 0 to I don't know how many salespeople, but it's like hundreds. And he's done something very scientific into what you should do, how you should hire people, what question you should ask during an interview. So it's great, really great.
Former chemical engineer turned marketer, of course, wants something that's KPI driven. And yeah, love it, love it. What do you know now that you wish you would have known when you first got into sales?
Failing wouldn't kill you. That's I thought I would die sometimes. I was like, oh my God, I can't do it. Like I'm gonna just get a door slapped at my face or whatever. But yeah, it's not gonna kill you. Like you will get better at it. So just do it.
Awesome. I love that. Guillaume, what's a favorite purchase of 2020 under $100? And we'll say 100 euros.
Ooh, that's tough. I'm French. I'm gonna go for something food related.
Yes.
So I guess like macaron that I love from La Durée. Like even if it's a bit cliche, like very fancy pastry in Paris, less than 100 euros, and I love sweets. So I love sweet stuff, and I'm a sugar addict. So.
And where is that from?
It's from Paris. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Favorite social media follow? Any executive or CEO or person you're really paying close attention to?
I really like Nathan Latka, to be honest. I think he's done something really smart in building and connecting people with each other. More than just building relationship, he's been able to connect different people, and I think that when you become a connector, you're like one step ahead of people that are just building relationships. And for me, that's impressive. Yeah.
Guillaume, if our listeners and viewers want to seek you out and follow you and absorb more of the Lemlist content, which I highly, highly advise, you've got some tremendous training videos on outreach and sales management. Where's the best vehicle to do that at, or how should they do so? How can they
I
connect
think
with
the
you?
best would be for them to join Lemlist family on Facebook. So we have built like the biggest community around sales automation. And it's where we give all the tips, we put all videos, and not only us actually, but all like a large majority of our customers in that community, and everyone's sharing tips, everyone is helping each other out just to become better at sales. No judgment, only good vibes, and it's pretty cool place.
Yeah, I just joined this morning, and just by going through some of the content, it already looks awesome.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, that's Guillaume Moubeche with Lemlist. Guillaume, thank you so much for taking us inside the sales playbook. This was a real thrill for me, and I appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks a lot, Mark. I really had a blast. Thank you.
Thank you.